Wow, it's a bright sunny February day in my Alabama rose garden. I'm just going to take a quick stroll, and as you can see, many of my roses are already breaking dormancy. Hybrid tea, it's been pruned back to about 3 foot high last fall and should come out with some spectacular red and orange blooms a little bit later this year. Now in this bed you'll see 4 Queen Elizabeth grandifloras planted fairly closely together, and in the background you'll see an old blush, an old garden rose, which should give us a profusion of pink blooms this spring. You can see here in this close-up of Queen Elizabeth that they're already breaking dormancy. These canes are becoming loaded with buds that will eventually make beautiful blooms. Our dream come true grandiflora is already starting to put out some growth. All of these grandifloras like to, they bloom their best when they're tall, so we don't prune them too short in the winter. So when they do begin to put out some new growth, they'll bloom best at about 4 to 5 foot tall. Here is our Don Juan climbing rose. As you can see, it's well above the fence and already putting out lots of new growth. Next to it, coming up from the other side of the fence, are canes of Buff Beauty, which is a hybrid musk rose that puts out beautiful cream-colored blooms. You can see that will be very nice against this jasmine vine that's already in full bloom. As you can see here, this is one of 3 shrubs of Veterans Honor, a bright red hybrid tea rose. It's already breaking dormancy and will be putting out lots of new growth here in no time at all. I wanted you to be able to see just a little bit of the form and structure of my garden. You'll see a series of raised beds. Here we have 2 beds, one filled with Our Lady of Guadalupe floribundas, and then a brand new bed that I just built a couple weeks ago that is now planted with 3 moonstone hybrid teas. If we continue on around to the additional raised bed here, it is planted with 2 shrubs of Artistry, a hybrid tea, and 2 Pope John Paul II's, also a hybrid tea. The Pope John Paul II is a brilliant white, and it is a fragrant hybrid tea, which is sort of rare today with the introduction of hybrid teas. They don't typically breed them for fragrance, but this one they did. We're so glad. This is our bird girl statue. We fill her hands with birdseed in the spring and summer, and someone asked me recently, well, what do you do when it rains? Well, we just clean it out a lot. Over here in the corner, we've got a sunny knockout, as well as a Caldwell pink that I recently transplanted from the front back to the back garden to make room for the ketchup and mustard floribundas that I planted out front. We're now on the side of our house, just outside the garden fence, and here you'll see plantings of tall bearded iris, as well as a very large old found rose called swamp rose. Water accumulates here. You might be able to see some of the moss that is on the ground, and we needed a rose that could stand wet feet for a certain period of time, so we planted this swamp rose over here, and as you can see, it's just about taken over the entire side yard. We're now in the front garden. You can see I have replaced those 3 Caldwell pinks with 3 new introductions called Mustard and Ketchup. It's a floribunda. Hope it'll fill up this space. I planted them in a triangle around the lamppost, and hopefully they'll fill in by the end of the summer and be a nice, well-rounded shrub. Now outside the garden gate in our back alley area. Our neighborhood has no driveways, only alleys, so this is back behind the fence, between the fence line and the alley. You can hear the happy beagles barking in the background. These are Mary Rose, David Austin roses that are just now beginning to break dormancy. This is that Buff Beauty rose that is up and over into the jasmine vine and the Don Juan climbers. I'm looking forward to seeing all of those bloom together this year. Here, right at 5.5, 6 foot tall, are Benjamin Britten David Austin roses, and I look forward to seeing their beautiful orange-red blooms. And then over here is our Mardi Gras Floribunda at the end of the fence row, and that's as far as our property line goes, and haven't yet convinced our neighbors to allow us to plant on their property yet. Side of the alleyway is what I call the pink rose bed. It has blushing knockout. You can see the largest shrub in this bed. I also planted 2 Cinco de Mayo floribundas here, and along the back fence you'll see the 3 trellises. Those are planted with 3 shrubs of social climber, a beautiful climbing rose introduced by Jackson and Perkins, and we look forward to seeing its bloom this spring as well. Placed on this beautiful sunny February day are some of our brand new introductions. These are 3 shrubs of all a twitter, a brand new miniature rose from Weeks Roses, and we have those planted here in front of our garage door. We're just about out of ground space for roses. For joining us on our garden walk, and I hope you have a great afternoon.